What's up and welcome back to Bardown Talking Hockey, episode number 196, presented by the Barroom Network. It is the home of everything relating to the NHL. My name is Vinny Parisi, and I am still a believer that the New Jersey Devils are going to win the Stanley Cup. And this right here, this is Frankie Mueller, and he is the king of all beans. Frank, episode number 126 or 96. It almost took my breath away saying that. Holy shnikes.
1 month away from 200. We got
1 month away from 200 is correct.
We got to think of something. That's big.
We do. We got to celebrate the year of Frank between Alexander Ovechkin and the Maple Leafs and all the things going wrong in his life in terms of his hockey fandom. I have one big misstep that I think I made, though, when making my playoff predictions. There's one I'm on the fence on still, and there's one I wholeheartedly think I'm dead ass wrong. But that's the lay of the land. Frank, how exciting has the playoffs been so far?
It's been very exciting. I've enjoyed it a ton.
Every day's been awesome, but last Monday, 5 days ago now, was one of the single most best hockey days I've ever witnessed, I think. It was the day Ovechkin won it in overtime for Washington. And first career overtime. We'll get to that in a minute. But then that was also the night that Dallas tied it late, won it in overtime, and then the Kings won it with like 30 seconds left after McDavid went berserko mode. And they tied the game when they were losing 4-0 at one point. Like, that game was sicko mode. Monday was just one of the best. There were like three, and Winnipeg and St. Louis were tied. Like in the third, Snuggerud scored a goal with under a minute left in a period. Like, that was that. Even that game, even though it didn't go to overtime, it was a 2-1 win for the Jet. Like, that night was sick. I can't recall a night like that in a long time.
Yeah, it was. There was a lot of action. That's for sure. Every game was close. It was a very good. I think we got like 2 Bucci overtimes out of it too.
Yep, there were. Two. Washington,
and then
Dallas. Yep.
So yeah, it was very entertaining. That's what the playoffs is all about. Give me entertaining hockey. At the end of the day, I mean, yeah, I have connections to some of these teams that I want to see win. But if you give me good hockey, if there's teams I'm not rooting for, that's all I care about.
Yeah, I'm already over my picks. I want the best I want the most entertainment, the best for everyone. There are like 3 series I'm already like hoping I lose.
I'm not out yet. I'm not out on my picks yet.
No, I don't even. I'm not either. There's one thing I'm a little worried about in terms of my picks, in terms of winning the bracket challenge. Other than that, I really don't care, though. This has been great. I, again, do not care, especially with the team on my shirt right now. We will get to all of that at one point in the show, but we're going to start off with some NHL news. Period number 1. I think the first bit of news hits home with me a little bit. The New York Islanders announced that they are not extending or renewing the contract of now longtime general manager and president of hockey operations, Lou Lamoriello. Of course, hockey fans around the world are very familiar with Lou Lamoriello. He was the general manager and president of hockey operations and a coach for a spell of the New Jersey Devils for over 20 years. And then he had a short 3 years in Toronto where he helped turn that franchise around with Brendan Shanahan and Mike Babcock. And they got Austin Matthews and brought in Mitch Marner with William Nylander and such. And now the Leafs are what they are today because of the foundation that Lou Lamoriello set. And then he goes to the New York Islanders, Frank. And although they didn't win the Stanley Cup, they lost a Game 7 to the Tampa Bay Lightning 1-0. It took a Daddy Vasilevsky shutout to beat them in that Game 7. and then the game 6 in the Eastern Conference Final 1 year later. Like it was a good run for the Islanders. He brought stability back to that organization, similarly to what he did with the Leafs. You might remember where the Islanders were when Lamoriello took over. John Tavares was just about to leave, or he just left, and that place was a mess. It was one of the biggest messes in the NHL. They were right there with Buffalo. And now you don't even think of the Islanders in the same vein of Buffalo. A lot of that has to do with Lou Lamoriello. I'm curious to see what your thoughts are on him now being out as New York Islanders general manager / president of hockey ops.
Lou Lamoriello is a name you hear in the hockey world where you expect good things to come from it. When you have Lou Lamoriello associated with your franchise, you expect good things. And he's done that throughout his whole career. He's just about done anything there is in his career from a management standpoint. And there's just so much you could do for an organization before it's just time to say goodbye and move on and completely rebuild. And I think that's what the Islanders are doing here. Spent 27 years as the general manager for the New Jersey Devils. You touched on that. During that span, he's won 3 cups. He went to the Stanley Cup, I think, 5 times, qualified for the postseason 21 times out of the 27 years he was with New Jersey. So he did a lot for the Devils. He turned the franchise around. He brought a winning culture to New Jersey. During his tenure with the Islanders was the same, a bit more consistent. He was there a lot less time than he was with New Jersey, and obviously he was there longer than he was with Toronto, but he still was able to turn the Islanders franchise around to where no one thought of them as this team that teams could just run over. But, at the end of the day, things started to get a little stale with Lou in Long Island, at the back end of the organization. The Islanders, since after he took over and turned them around, they've really been the same team since then. They've been middle of the pack, not viewed as the Stanley Cup contenders, but not also viewed as a bottom feeding team who will just feed off the bad teams at the bottom of the league. They've been a bubble team really for a handful of years now. So, with all that mixed success, I think there's all that he could have done in Long Island. I think it's time to move on. I think there's a new chapter that needs to begin in New York. And that's not going to be with Lou Lamoriello. He's done great, but I think there's a new era that needs to begin, and the Islanders really need to start rebuilding.
One thing I would like people who love hockey history, they can go back and look at this on Netflix. There's a documentary about the Soviet Union team that lost to Team USA in the 1980 Olympics. A lot was made of that team, rightfully so, with Miracle, the movie, and everybody. Mike Eruzione is super famous within USA Hockey now. Herb Brooks, rest in peace, is one of the great hockey minds to ever be a part of NHL history. He was a coach of the Devils for a while. But people don't really ever think about what it meant for Russia to lose that game, the Soviet Union to lose that game. And Lou Lamoriello played a big role in breaking up that culture that Russian players couldn't come to the NHL. And he's a big part of that documentary. Forgive me, I forget what it's called. We can get a name for that on Netflix. It's really good. I've watched it. And Lou Lamoriello, and then the Fab Five ended up in Detroit. And then you obviously know what happened with the 04 draft. The 2 top picks, Alexander Ovechkin and Evgeny Malkin, were the number 1 and number 2 pick. That changed Russian hockey forever. Ovechkin's now the NHL's all-time leading goal scorer. Evgeny Malkin is going to go down as a top 20 player who ever lived. It's really cool that he was a big part of kind of breaking that mold and helping Russian players get to the NHL. Obviously, tons of success with the Devils. The Game 7 with the Islanders, to go to the Cup final, they might have won had they gotten to the final that year. I'm trying to think of who it would have been that they would have played in the final. I would have to go back and look. But, it's been a good run for Lou. He's 82 years old. I heard someone connect him to Buffalo. Go there for 2 years.
Maybe that's what they need.
Stabilize the organization, get them on a track, and then officially retire. I don't know if that's going to happen. I feel like it's Buffalo or nothing. It wouldn't shock me if he just walks away at this point. He's done, like you said, everything he could possible in the NHL. Won cups, was an outstanding executive for a long time. And there are a lot of people. He had some weird flaws in terms of like some of the social things. For example, you couldn't have facial hair. if you were on a team that he was in charge of. The Devils weren't allowed to have number 13 for the longest time because he believed the team called the Devils shouldn't have a number 13. And then obviously in his first year after his departure, Camilleri switched from 23 to 13. And then Camilleri left. The Devils won the number 1 pick. And now number 13 might never be worn again if he sure is good enough to have his jersey retired one day. I would say he's on track to be one of those types of players. So it's really cool to like reminisce about what Lou's done in the NHL, and I wish him well going forward.
If Lou went to Buffalo and there was no improvement on their side, they're cooked. Because I feel like he's the
franchise.
one. I feel like he's the one guy that could potentially turn things around for a couple years. If that doesn't happen, there's no saving him.
The only thing, Frank, that I worry about with that, and like they would probably feel the same way. You did touch on how ever since they had those back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals with the Islanders, they've been a little mid. They, wild card 1, Metropolitan 3. I do wonder if Lou has lost his fastball just a little bit.
Could he get him though in the playoffs? That potentially. I
don't know. If I'm Buffalo, I'm trying to something a little more fresh. Would be my point of view. I don't know what it would be to fix them. I do think the world of Lou, and I think. But again, has he lost his fastball? The Islanders were a little mid towards the end. Barzal was really never ever able to take it to the next level following those 2 trips to the conference finals. I don't know, man. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. Buffalo, man. They're cooked. Another team that was cooked this year, they finished lower than Buffalo, but I don't think they will finish lower than Buffalo in the coming years, is the Boston Bruins. However, Frank, they had 2 days ago on Wednesday one of the most horrific, unself-aware press conferences I've ever seen an NHL team have. The reporters, to their credit, I've been in those rooms. I've been there when hard questions are asked that general managers and coaches don't want to answer. And to those Bruins reporters' credit, they asked the hard questions about their drafting recently, what they see going forward, blah, blah, blah. And the Bruins they defended some of the moves that they've made. Cam Neely acted like they did a good job in the 2015 NHL draft when they had back-to-back picks. And they took DeBrusk, Zach Senyshyn, and I'm drawing a blank on the other one. Zach Senyshyn, Jake DeBrusk. Oh, my God. Jacob Zaboral. You can't have 3 picks in a row and them all, one be an above average middle 6 forward, and then the other 2 don't play in the NHL. Yeah, that can't. Shabbat, Kyle Connor, they were on the board still. There's one other big one that was on the board still, too. I mean, you really butchered that one. And you got McAvoy the next year, and that was really Don Sweeney's like one big hit. You can't defend that. You have to either admit you need to be better or move on. I don't know. It just felt so self-unaware, and I don't know if they're going to be able to. If that's their actual mindset, I don't see them coming out of this anytime soon.
Well, Cam Neely made a bad comment too. I have the quote.
One of his many. He was the one who made the bad comment about the 15 draft.
But there was one that was like, it was a comment that summed up the whole press conference basically. And he says, but it's not as bad as everyone thinks. No, it's bad as everyone thinks. That's a bad comment. Like,
yeah,
dude, you're in self-denial. You're denying everything. And it's like they were getting defensive about it.
They were mad.
Yeah, they were getting.
And the Bruins reporters didn't care. They kept bumping on them.
The first 15 minutes was fine, and then the last 45 was like they were getting pissed. And like you said, the Bruins reporters were just throwing everything they had at him, and they're in denial. He said it's not as bad as everyone thinks, but it is. And now with that statement, you have to come out next season guns blazing, or even this off season. You got to do something to make it look like it's not as bad as everyone thinks, because it is. I think they're in trouble if that's how they're going to be. And if they're freaking like set on what they said and the comments that they made, like you said, I don't think they're coming out. I think they're cooked.
And Jeremy Jacobs was acting like it's a good thing that their season ticket prices and their individual game prices are going to be going up next season.
Yeah, that's another thing
People
too.
don't want to freaking hear that, dude. People
They like
working 9 to 5s,
yeah,
they don't want to hear that shit.
they refuse to like do anything about the prices too because they think they're going to be this great team.
Yeah, it pissed me off. They're not my number one team. They're probably my number two team though. One of the top teams I follow at the very least, and I love the Bruins, and they really, really pissed me off that day.
That was bad.
Yeah,
Bad from a management perspective.
1000%. So they have a top 5 pick. Well, unless things go terribly wrong, they have a top 5 pick. The only way they won't have a top 5 pick is if a team lower than them wins a lottery spot, which is possible, but it's been a while since a team lower than 6 won a lottery. So we'll see how that goes, Frank. Another press conference that went terribly wrong for a team's exit interview was that of the Vancouver Canucks and Jim Rutherford, who went on that podium and told the reporters that he would like to extend Quentin Hughes, but it's not necessarily a guarantee because he, quote unquote, wants to play with his brothers. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of delusional Vancouver Canuck fans that think that means they're trading for Jack and Luke. Let me tell you one thing there, Vancouver. You don't have what it takes to trade for Jack and Luke. Okay? You just don't. You don't have a super duper star like that other than Quinn Hughes. Pettersson, he fell off a cliff. I would rather have Nico Hischier than Elias Pettersson. It's not close. It's nuts to me that he would go on there and say that, though. And there are Devils fans, they're not perfect in this either, that are mad, tampering, talking about our players. Why would a Devils fan be mad at that? All Jim Rutherford did by saying that was warning his fan base that Quinn Hughes may not be a Canuck for life. And he's going to go to New Jersey and play with his brothers. That's all he was doing, was sending a warning out to everybody. And so for the Devils fans to be mad about it being tampering, okay, maybe in a different situation, if he were talking about one of their players in a different light, yeah, that would be tampering. If he were talking about how he wants to sign Dawson Mercer to an offer sheet this summer, or so, he can't, so Mercer signed, but like that's just an example. Like that would be tampering. And it is tampering in a way to talk about Jack and Luke while they're in the middle of a playoff series. But I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care. We don't care because all the leverage is now in their hands. They can play the long game. Quinn Hughes is a free agent in 2 years. Or they could play the short game and trade for him this summer, make everybody happy. I do think it is possible that while in the middle of his prime, Quinn Hughes makes his way to Newark. Frank, I would love to hear your thoughts on this fiasco going on in Vancouver.
Well, it's definitely possible. I agree with that because Rutherford made it very clear that the Canucks fans have to brace for the fact and the possibility that Quinn might not be a Canuck for life. And like you said, and something else Rutherford stated is it might not come down to money, Quinn Hughes staying with Vancouver, which alludes to the fact of going to play with his brothers. He might take a pay cut to go play with them, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't all have to do with the money. A comment like that, if I was a Canucks fan, would scare me a little bit. Absolutely. Right. But I think as a Devils fan too, it's, you can't hold your breath either because this is massive. A play to send Quinn Hughes to the Devils would be massive. And yeah, if there's any Canucks fans who think Luke and Jack are going to Vancouver, they're delusional. They don't know hockey. But yeah, this would be massive. And to get it done, I think is a lot harder than these words and these rumors and statements coming out. I think it's going to be a lot harder to get it done. But there is a chance that Quinn Hughes could be traded in his prime, like you said. However, on the flip side, from a Vancouver point of view, I think that if Vancouver Canucks can make the right decisions that pave the way forward for the Canucks within these next 2 years to make the Canucks a better organization, if things start to get better in Vancouver, I honestly think Quinn will want to stay with the Canucks at the end of the day, despite how bad he wants to play with his brother. That doesn't mean I don't think that he'll never get to go to New Jersey and play with his other two brothers. I just think in the short-term future, if things get progressively better, I do think he's going to want to stay with the organization. But a lot would need to happen to make that happen.
I think they would have to trade for Crosby and McDavid.
I think a lot there would need to be. They need to have a big off season. I think a lot would need to happen, but I do think at the end of the day, if things look good, I don't think he's going to be like, I'm abandoning you to go play with my brother. I don't think.
There's no way he's happy that this is a conversation right now, though, and his GM said that. That would piss me off. Frank, I think there's a better chance of him being a Devil next season on opening night than him signing an extension long-term with Vancouver.
That's fair.
I really how can the GM say that and then not act on it? Either extend him, have a deal in place. They can't really extend him till next summer. But I mean, I just really don't see what was the point of saying that. Unless it was because Quinn said, trade me to New Jersey. I'm tired of this shit. JT Miller, Elias Pettersson doesn't try. You're going to let Brock Besser go for nothing. I just don't think Rutherford says that without purpose. It's just
That's
that
possible.
If he didn't, he's even dumber than I thought. If he said it for no reason and the plan is actually to keep Quinn, that was dumb.
I think they're going to try to keep Quinn, or at least discuss what could we do to make you happy here? What could we do to make this team better to where the point where you would want to stay? Because clearly it's not a money thing right now. He made that very clear. So,
yeah,
I mean, he can't afford Quinn to walk away for less. It would hurt the Canucks. So, I don't know. I mean, I agree with you. Does he just say it just to say it, or did he say it because there's meaning behind it? I don't know.
I would assume it has to be the latter, because that would just be dumb. That would just be pointless. There's no way there's not smoke or fire to that smoke. Why in the world would a GM come out and say that his best player wants to play with his brothers if it wasn't a conversation that was already had?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I'm sure the conversation was had, but I mean, I think a little bit of it is common sense too. Of course you want to go play with your brothers. I'm sure that's something on any brother's mind in the league. I'm sure Alex Vlasic would love to go play with his cousin, Marc-Edouard Vlasic. You know what I mean?
He won't.
But no, I'm just using that as an example. I'm not saying maybe not on the team that he's on now, but I'm just saying brothers in the league, or cousins or family in the league. That'd be so much fun. I think that's just a natural thing, that has to be in the back of his mind. I do think the conversation, they've definitely talked about it, because I don't think he's happy right now. But getting it done, VP. So if you're the Devils, if you're the Devils office right now, what's on the table to get Quinn over?
I mean, it would have to involve, I would assume, multiple first-round picks. So you really never see three traded.
And players. You would need some prospects.
Well, yeah. Let me finish. You rarely ever see three traded. You see three go in basketball all the time.
Yeah.
People are trading 20, 30
that's
picks.
Different because, there's 20, 30, and it goes different.
You really never see three go. But I would assume a trade, including Quinn, starts and ends with 2 first-round picks, and next year's draft is so sick. This year's draft is fine. I would assume Casey and Nemitz would have to be a starting point. Two good defensemen. Nemitz was the number 2 pick. Seamus Casey has a high offensive ceiling. You're trying to replace Quinn. Obviously, if you make a trade, you're going to add defense. It wouldn't shock me if Mercer was on the table. And also, Frank, it wouldn't shock me if Jesper Bratt was part of the deal, or Timo Meier. If you trade Hischier, you add Quinn to a defense that you already like, and you put a massive hole at center. So I don't think Hischier can be on the table. I think the only 3 that could be off the table on a trade, not because I think Quinn is a better player. I just think you're making your team worse by making that trade due to position. I do believe that. If you have a massive hole at number 2 center, you're not going to win the cup, no matter how many good defense. Like you need centers. And after Heischer, it's like Holla, like Mercer, Dowling. Like you don't like it's a massive down. They need another center on top of Heischer and Hughes, not taking one of them away. So Heischer, Luke, and Jack off the table. Obviously, you're not trading Jack and Luke in a trade for Quinn. That would defeat the purpose. Anything else really could be on the table. Mercer, Nemitz, Casey. They really like that goalie at BU. First round picks, second round picks. It would be a lot. There's no doubt. Even though they have the leverage out of the two teams, I would say, because Rutherford decided to open his dirty mouth.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of on par with what I'm throwing out there?
Yeah, I just, as a Blackhawks fan and the rumors of what happens, I just always, stuff like this, you got to hold your breath or not hold your breath with, take it with a grain of salt. You know what I mean? Like when Brady's contract's up, I'm sure there's going to be rumors about him going to Florida and playing with his brother and stuff like that. It's just, yeah, I mean, it's very possible. I think this is very realistic to think, but it's a big moment. Like this would be breaking news because like basically Quinn is like the face of that franchise right now, and you're like imploding the Canucks with that move. So there's a lot of pressure on him too. Does he want to do that to the organization? I think Rutherford's going to do whatever he can to make sure he stays and make him happy. It's just a tough situation right now. It is. I hear what you're saying though, for sure.
If it happens, I think it would be one of my happiest hockey moments.
Would that be the first time three brothers all played for the same team?
No. Jordan, Eric, and Jarrett Stahl suited up for one game together. I think Jarrett has one NHL game.
Really?
And Jordan and Eric were both in the game. Jordan and Eric were
In
like
the Hurricanes?
Yeah.
Because I know Mark Stahl never played with them.
No, but Mark Stahl played with Eric in Florida 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And Eric played for the Rangers for half a season, you might remember.
Yeah, and Mark played for the Rangers.
Yeah, they were teammates together too.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, Jordan Stahl's been amazing. We'll get to that. All right, Frank, that's enough of that. When Quinn Hughes goes to the Devils, I'll get his jersey and wear it on the show.
Throw a party.
Oh, dude, you have no idea.
Balloons,
that would be
champagne.
Insane. That would be insane. Man. And I wanted Quinn Hughes for the Blackhawks in 2018 too. And the Canucks took him one pick earlier than the Blackhawks got Adam freaking Boquist.
I know. If Tom was here right now, he'd be going off.
Man, hey, my recent run from like 2017 on of like telling everyone what picks are what, I'm on a little bit of a heater. I won't lie. I'm on a little bit of a heater. And Quinn Hughes was my prized possession in 2018. I didn't even know the Devils would end up with Jack. The Devils made the playoffs in 2018. I didn't think they'd have the number one pick the next year. That was shock. I had no bias towards the Hughes family for like that reason. At that point in time. And then if you would have told me the Devils would be picking fourth again in 21, that would have meant they were bad for 4 more years. Dude. What? And then they picked second, 22. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's rough.
It was a bad stretch. So Frank, let's quickly go over each playoff series in period number 2. All right, Frank, we're going to quickly roll through some of these because, we're a little pressed for time. You're going to tell me if you're sticking with your pick. You're going to tell me what you've liked from the series. If there's anything of note, if there's not, we can just move right along. But we'll touch on them all at least a little bit. We'll start with Winnipeg and St. Louis.
So no, you just want me to give you my opinion.
If you think where you think it's going, it's currently Winnipeg 2-1 over St. Louis.
Yeah, that was a big win by St. Louis in Game 3. Dominant. They needed that, and they've been in every game this series. They've been in every game.
They're worthy.
They're worthy. I am going to switch my pick here, and I'm going to say Jets are going to beat the Blues. I had the Blues beating the Jets. Now, I don't think the Jets are going to go all the way. I do think they'll probably get bounced to Colorado or Dallas because that's who they'd have to play. And those two teams, I think have what it takes to beat the Jets. But I mean, could the Blues win this series? It's going to be tough because you were down 2-0. But like I said, Game 3 was big. I'm going to say the Jets win the series, though. I do.
I agree. I still think the Jets pull it off. I had them at the beginning. The Blues have played them tight. I figured they would. Bennington's awesome in the playoffs. Robert Thomas and Jordan Kyrou are consistently showing up in the playoffs every year. Like what I'm seeing from St. Louis. I think they got a bright future. Snuggerud, absolute dog. All right, Frank. Dallas, Colorado. I'll start with this one because I know it's more your series due to your affiliation with the Dallas Stars. I picked Colorado. It's probably the one series that I'm down right now that I'm going to stick with my original pick only because Colorado, to their credit, they've played, what's 60 plus 60 plus 60? Is that 180 minutes? That means for 180, so 178 of those 180 minutes, Dallas was not leading the hockey game.
Yes.
The Avalanche have been leading for over 55 minutes. The remainder is obviously a tie. The Dallas have held a lead for exactly 1 minute and something seconds in this series. Colorado's played well. Ottinger has stood on his head. I have a feeling this goes 7. They'll throw in Miro Heiskanen in game number. So this is my prediction. I don't know. I have no anything on this. I do think Dallas, they're back. They're not that team that lost 7 in a row to end the season. I do think it's a series. I picked Colorado in 5. I'm flipping on that. I don't think Dallas is a pushover like they entered the playoffs. I'm going to stick with Colorado on 3 with some to win this series, but with some hesitancy. Floor is yours.
Yeah, I had Dallas in 6 on the podcast last week. They're just proving that despite how injured they are and how bad they might have been coming into the postseason, this team knows how to win come late April. I mean, especially in game 3, being able to kill off a 4-minute penalty and like 3 and change in overtime and then winning the game in Colorado just screams championship mentality to me. And I know a lot of people were counting out the Dallas Stars because of their injuries and their form coming into the postseason, but this team's freaking good. And I think it would be so cool to see the Dallas Stars win a Stanley Cup with this current core. I mean, I've gotten to see the Blackhawks win the Cups many times. I gotten to even see Vegas win the Cup, and I was very happy for Vegas. And I'd love to see Vegas do it again, but I'd really love to see the Dallas Stars win the Cup as well. And it looks like they're going to get – I mean, like you said, they look competitive, but Colorado's been kind of dominant for the majority of the time, at least with the lead. So I think this is going to be a really close series that goes down to the wire. This – has the chance, if it goes back and forth, haymakers back and forth, it could be one of the best series of the first round.
I agree. The Dallas won the game. Landeskog returned. I would have never guessed that in a million years. Shout out Tyler Seguin.
I told G this dude's going to score the game-winning goal in overtime.
The roof would have blown off the play. I still think his first goal, the roof. They could be losing the series 3-1 in the game 5-0, and they're about to go home. If Landeskog scored, the roof would blow off that place. Happy for him. Hopefully this is a really, really good series as it's been so far. Really quick, Minnesota versus the Vegas Golden Knights. Frank, the Minnesota Wild have a 2-1 series lead over the Vegas Golden Knights, and both of their wins were in dominant fashion.
Yeah, Kirill Kaprizov has taken over the series.
Might be the best player in the playoffs so far. Current Conn Smythe Trophy leader.
Absolutely, 4 goals. This team looks dangerous, especially with Game 4 being in Minnesota. It's like, okay, hold the phone a minute. The Wild, they have a chance to go 3-1 in this series if they continue the dominant scoring that we've seen. Not many people gave the Wild a chance preseason, but I picked them as one of my playoff teams to make the playoffs this year because I saw the potential and what this team could do when they're at full strength firing on all cylinders. Now, did I think they had a chance against the Knights? No, I didn't think they would take down the Knights in the series. Am I going to flip on the Knights? Now, I'm not going to flip on the Knights either because we've seen 2-1 series leads come and go every year.
At least once a year.
But they look dangerous right now. And if this was the Hawks and they were going up against the Wild and the Hawks had the same players that the Knights do and they were as dominant as the Knights were, I'd be a little nervous now playing the Wild. And I think the Vegas Golden Knights are a little nervous too. So if you're the Vegas Golden Knights going forward into Game 4, you can't afford any more mistakes. And Adin Hill's got to be the Adin Hill we've seen that won a cup.
I used to think if the Wild snuck past Vegas, it would be boring watching them get destroyed in the next round. I disagree with my old self. Things change. The Wild have been great. Boldy, Eriksson, Rossi, Kaprizov's been the best player in the playoffs. That pass he made the other day, Zeev Buium got his first career assist, and Zeev Buium had a tough first game. William Karlsson baited Buyum into making a pass cross ice to Kaprizov, and he picked it off, and then Boldy had to trip Wild Bill in order to avoid the empty net goal, which they eventually got anyway. That was a tough game for Buyum. He looked amazing yesterday against the Vegas Golden Knights. It was absolutely unbelievable. Man, that 2024 draft looking good. Demidov is impressive. Levshinov with an OTGWG for the Rockford Ice Hogs in game number 1 against the Chicago Wolves. Now you got Zeev Buyum just absolutely looking like a stud muffin in the playoffs.
Gustafson, dude.
Yep, Gustafson, he stole the show in the third period yesterday. Vegas could have tied it if he was a little shaky. The Wild are good. I'm sticking with Vegas with hesitancy, even though I love my Wild. If the Wild win game 4, though, Vegas is cooked. And then if the Wild really dominate the rest of the series, there's no reason to think they won't beat. There's no reason to think they won't have a chance in the next round. They won't be just some scrub that made it to the second round. I will flip that narrative if that is the case. I'm already flipping it. Even if they lose to Vegas, you're coming into next year, no matter what happens going forward, you're coming into next year excited if you're a diehard Minnesota Wild fan. Yeah. We don't have to touch on this series too long, Frank. Los Angeles versus Edmonton. Oilers are so cooked.
I had a feeling that this series would be a lot different than we've seen in the past 3 seasons.
But it's even more different than you thought, probably.
But these Kings, they're so much better all around than they have been. Better. And
Absolutely.
The Oilers are so much different than they were last season.
They look like a Stan Bowman-ran team.
They are a lot different. I know McDavid and Draisaitl are still McDavid and Draisaitl, but this team's a lot different. And I've been a broken record about it, especially with you and the Devils VP. Stuart Skinner's just not the answer. 11 goals he's given up.
Well, we were wrong about Blackwood, but
but with the Devils, Blackwood was he was not the answer.
He was hurt.
I guess.
But... Well, Calvin Pickard announced Game 3 starter as of like 10 minutes ago.
I was gonna make the comment that if it was me, Pickard's going in Game 3.
Friedman just tweeted it while we were talking about Vegas.
If I'm the Oilers, and they're not going to do this, but in the offseason, try to move Skinner. You have a core that could win a cup that was 1 goal away from winning a cup. If they were in on Markstrom, or even when there were Hellebuck rumors, do you know what that would do for a team of the Edmonton Oilers? It would be like freaking, what's the word? Dynasty making, potentially. Like,
even if they got Blackwood instead of Colorado.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he's not the answer, and I've been saying it for like 3 or 4 years now. Gives up way too many goals in the postseason. Very inconsistent. Kings are going to probably advance. Oilers cooked.
Yeah, I mean, last year in the playoffs, Skinner was awesome. They lost Game 7 2-1.
Right. I mean, but it's like there's too many inconsistencies. Like there were before the Stanley Cup, he gave up a lot of goals, but they got through it. This year, it's just not happening.
Similar vibes from this Eastern Conference matchup. Washington's got Montreal. I was wrong about that one. I thought Montreal would take them down. There has been the come down from Ovechkin breaking the record seems to be gone, and Washington's on a roll.
The Montreal Canadiens are so young. I think their average age of players is in 25. They're 25 point whatever range. And the youngest teams to win a Stanley Cup were the 2009 Pittsburgh Penguins and the 2010 Chicago Blackhawks, who both averaged years of age of 26.6. So if Montreal won the Cup, it'd be a record. It just proves like they got a lot to learn with this team. They're going up against one of the most veteran teams in the playoffs in the Washington Capitals. I didn't really think they stood a chance, and now they're really cooked. Even though they've been competitive, they've been feisty these first 2 games.
100%. I agree. Washington's going to take them down. I think it wouldn't shock me if they swept them or win in 5. Florida versus Tampa Bay. I picked Tampa Bay. I think you picked Florida.
No, I picked Tampa.
Oh, we both picked Tampa. It's tough.
It's scary.
We also made that pick not knowing Matthew Tkachuk was going to play game 1. It was a question mark. We knew it was possible, but it wasn't a guarantee. And if he did play, how effective would he be? He wasn't very effective when he tried to play the Four Nations Face-Off Championship game. He only had like 2 minutes of ice time in that game, and they probably should have dressed Kyle Connor instead of him. It's not looking like he's too injured at all. He's been incredible and a big force for the Florida Panthers, who are using Brad Marchand to their advantage. They have Sam Bennett. Barkov is hurt, and he's a question mark for game number 3. Paul Maurice said today that he's not ruled out for game 3, but he's also not ruled in to be cleared. So we'll see what happens with Barkov. But Frank, I am flipping my pick. I think Florida's going to win the series now.
Yeah, this is tough to lose both at homes and to your cross-state rivalry. To get shut out in game 2 at home on home ice, tough pill to swallow. Honestly, the series feels like it's over in favor of Florida. I don't want to flip because this is a team that you can't count out the Tampa Bay Lightning. We've seen how dominant they are in the postseason, but the Florida Panthers look like they could win the Stanley Cup again. Can the Tampa Bay Lightning win the series? Absolutely. But Bobrovsky looks back to Stanley Cup form as just like where he left off last year. So I don't know. I in my heart of hearts, I think the Florida Panthers are going to win this series, but I'm not giving up on Tampa Bay. I'll put it that way.
I feel the same way. If Tampa came back and won, and they got both at home coming up,
especially
or no,
because
they're going to Florida now. They're going
to Florida, but you're at home. Like it'd be like if the White Sox and Cubs played. Yeah, there's going to be more fans from the Florida Panthers that bought tickets to go to the game, but I mean, you're still in Florida. You don't have to worry about traveling that much. You know what I mean? I mean,
yeah. No, you're right. You're right. I just think Barkov, if he plays, getting to play against, there's like tactical advantages to being the home team in hockey.
Change and stuff like that.
Yeah, man. But we'll see. Carolina Hurricanes have a 2-0 series lead over the New Jersey Devils as they flip back to Newark. The good thing for the Devils is that you're going to be able to take Nico Hischier away from Jordan Stahl now, who's been absolutely awesome at shadowing that line while they were in Carolina with the matchups. But you're getting Jonas Siegenthaler back, who is one of the 5 statistical best defensive defensemen during the regular season. Really good to get him back, but how effective is he going to be following an injury? Brendan Dillon and Luke Hughes did not play in Game 2. They are confirmed to be out for Game 3 tonight in Newark. Frank, Devs are cooked.
VP, it's a sad day, bad day for VP.
Yep.
The biggest worry for the Devils coming into the postseason is how would their ability to score be? Are they going to be able to score? Well, I mean, they have 1 goal in each of the first 2 games. I mean, this team just isn't the same without Jack Hughes. This may not be the worst case scenario for the Devils because they got a good team when healthy. Some of the younger guys on the team are getting playoff experience right now. They have prior playoff experience winning a series. I honestly don't think this is the worst case scenario for the Devils because if they come back next year, obviously they got this great team, maybe with Quinn Hughes, maybe not. If they build around this team, they're getting experience. They're getting these young guys playoff games. These are meaningful games for them despite being down 2-0. They're cooked in the series. I mean, there's no question about that. They're cooked more than a freaking steak on 500 degrees on a grill, but hey, I don't think this is the worst case scenario. They need depth players to score if they want to take out the Hurricanes, but down 2-0 is tough. Now they might not get swept, but I mean it's looking bad because they can't score. They're not scoring, VP.
It's true. I mean, Carolina's good at shutting down. They don't have Jack Hughes. When you have Jack Hughes, it makes life easier on Hischier. It makes life easier on Timo Meier, Jesper Bratt, those 3 have been good. But you need more than just your top guys. The depth on the Devils has been challenged basically in the entire second half of this season. When Dowling is your second line center or third line center, you're in trouble. I do think in the offseason there is potential to reload and another year of Brad, another year of Hischier. These guys are only getting better. It's amazing. Right. It's fun. I agree with you. I think the future is bright, but in this series, yeah. The New Jersey Devils have never in their 45-year history been swept in the playoffs. So we will see.
I think they could take one at home against Carolina.
I liked their chances. Man, they were losing 2-0 to the Rangers. It was very different 2 years ago. But without Luke Hughes tonight, I just don't see how they generate too much offense.
We'll see.
I really don't. We'll see. If they win tonight, I'll talk myself into them tying the series on Sunday. You win tonight, you plant a shadow of doubt in Carolina's head. That's the thing.
If you lose tonight, it's tough.
If you lose tonight, you have to win 4 straight, and it's only happened 4 times in NHL history, and it's been a while since the most recent time. And then, Frank, I saved this one for last for a reason. Normally, I save our favorite teams for last in these types of list things because they're obviously the most fun to talk about usually for us. But honestly, Frank, there's no team more fun to talk about right now in my brain than the Toronto Maple Leafs against the Ottawa Senators. They have a 3-0 series lead over the Ottawa Senators. Frank, even Joey Parisi, Leaf hater extraordinaire, admitted that the Leafs are dangerous and he is scared of them winning the Stanley Cup. That's how far that guy took it. Frank, The Toronto Maple Leafs never had a 2-0 series lead in the Austin Matthews era. Now they have a 3-0 series lead over one of their biggest rivals. What do you make of this?
I give the Maple Leafs a lot of credit in this series. To beat a rival, even when you're on paper, you're so much better than them in this type of series, that's huge to beat a team like this because there's so much. I mean, they have a freaking name for the series. I mean, that just goes to show you right there. This is big for the Maple Leafs.
We talked about that. When a series has a name,
yeah,
the battle of whatever.
You throw the records
big.
out the window, anybody quit. And that I give a lot of credit to the Maple Leafs here. It's been fun, despite the Leafs being up 3-0. I think Ottawa has have there been 2 overtime games or just one?
Two. Domi
Two?
and then Benoit yesterday in overtime. Oh, I never checked if they gave credit to Nyes for tipping it. Because there was a Bucci overtime challenge. There was a Bucci overtime challenge controversy. Yeah, they gave it to Nyes. Oh no, they gave it to Benoit.
So I mean, think about it. Like the Ottawa is just 2 overtime goals away, one here, one there, from being in the series or even ahead in the series. So even it being 3-0, I think the score line or the series score line makes it look a little more dominant. But Ottawa's giving them fits. Like they've been entertaining games. They've been really entertaining games, like 2 overtime games. I mean, it's. Can we say that about any other series? Dallas and Colorado, you had 2 overtime games, but it's tough. Like it's been a really good series so far, despite it being 3-0 and so one-sided. If I'm the Leafs, though, you got to win this in 5 games because if you go to Ottawa for a game 6, oh no, you just want to sweep them. I mean, it's hard to sweep any team, okay, but if you let Ottawa win game 3 and then it goes back to Toronto and you lose, oh no, then there's some like the heart starts to get a little, quicker.
Then they become the Ottawa Bruins in your brain.
You don't want them to go back.
You don't want to play the Ottawa Bruins. You want to keep them at the Ottawa Senators.
You got to end it in 5 in these next 2 games.
I agree, Frank. The cool thing about this series, they've won 2 in overtime, and that doesn't scream dominance. But guess what? That's not the playoffs. If you think you're just going to steamroll your way through any round, no matter who it is, you have never watched hockey before in your life. You have to win overtime games. You have to win 2-1 singular goal games. There's no 5-3 victories in the playoffs usually. You have to win by 1 goal most games. That game 1 that Toronto played was impressive. Ottawa looked like they had first kiss jitters. It was not the Ottawa Senators that you're going to get for the rest of the series. They've played them tough. The Leafs' overall talent has prevailed. And guess what? The core 4 showing up. Tavares is scoring goals. Matthews is putting up points and assists. Marner, that pass Marner made to Matthews yesterday. Oh my God. Nylander just been an absolute stud. They all had points yesterday. You're getting depth scoring. Simone Benoit scoring in overtime. Matthew Nyes. You can call him the core 5 and include Nyes, but it's the core 4. Nyes is the leader of the depth scoring. Domi with an overtime winner. I mean, the players on this team, they're getting it from everybody. Their defense has played well. I thought Morgan Rielly has been incredible. And listen, I love using 5 forwards on the power play. That is one of the most strategical wins I've ever seen in hockey in all my years watching. Why wouldn't you want a forward that is somewhat capable of back checking a little bit? Whether it be, all the Leafs forwards,
choose the right 5.
All of the Leafs forwards are really, their top dogs are all good defensively. Tavares is a little slower now, but Matthews, Marner, both Selke candidates. Nylander's competent defensively. That power play is just so sick. If you're Ottawa, you got to stay out of the box. They haven't done it well enough in this series. The Leafs are dangerous. I think if they lose, it'll be to themselves. I don't see Florida, and we'll give them a fit. But if they somehow manage to squeak out a win against Florida in the series and play Washington, let's say in the 3rd round, there's no reason to think the Leafs can't make it to the Stanley Cup final as we stand right now. This Leafs team is different. It felt different with the Bruins missing playoffs, only because of the mental thing. I would have picked the Leafs in a playoff series against the Bruins this year, but I wouldn't have been thrilled about it. They've been damn good. Toronto Maple Leafs, 3-0 series lead. Oh, and Stolarz. This dude's on a 10-game heater. I'm pretty sure he's won 10 in a row going back to the regular season.
He's done what you want to do at the end of the season, is come into the postseason hot.
Yep, absolutely. And Allmark, playoff Allmark.
I don't know. playoff Allmark is not what I thought he'd be. But once again, I mean, he hasn't been terrible. 2 overtime games. I mean, you get a bounce here and there, a lucky bounce, a fluke goal. I mean,
Absolutely.
I mean, he's been serviceable. That's a good word for it. He's been serviceable.
Looking forward to tomorrow night's game 4 between the Maple Leafs and the Senators. I'll be out and about in the city, probably going around a couple bars, going to the Cubs game tomorrow. Oh, nice. So hopefully after the game, some bars are showing the Maple Leafs and stuff. I'm super stoked to see how that all goes down.
That should be entertaining. Cubs, Phillies.
And then right at the same time, while we're on our way down there, it'll be the Battle of Florida, and then during the Cubs game, Golden Knights versus Wild. It's just a sports extravaganza.
Is that tomorrow. A night game? That's a night game because today they play a day game. They play now.
No, right? Tonight they play. Tomorrow, well, I doubt they're playing right now. I guarantee there's
it's scheduled for 1 o'clock. Is tomorrow the same thing, or is it?
It's 3 o'clock.
Oh,
it's 3 o'clock. So looking forward to that. It'll be a good time. Frank, the hockey's on fire. I would like to see the Devils get 1, but we'll see. All right, we'll chop it up a little bit about the NFL draft for a couple seconds here in period number 3. Running out of time because I want to allow you to squeak in breaking bets before we end the show. Frank, period number 3, NFL draft. Was there anything that shocked you yesterday about what went down? Obviously, for the Chicago Bear fan that is watching, they selected Colston Loveland, tight end out of the University of Michigan. Frank?
There's going to be, so in terms of the Bears pick, there's going to be a lot of mixed reviews. I was at first, it was like I was shell-shocked on the pick, kind of a little bit of a hater, but then I thought about it, did some, I mulled it over, slept on it.
He read VP scouting report.
Did you write about it?
Oh, yeah, many times.
No, the thing that I thought about is like, you got Ben Johnson, who was an offensive mastermind in Detroit.
And a tight ends coach.
What?
And a tight ends coach.
I didn't know that actually. So then that makes me feel even better that I trust Ben Johnson and what he's doing here. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say this is a move that he's masterminding in his head, that this was the right play to make. You already got Cole Kmet, which is why it was a little weird, but I guess you have a duo now that you could kind of wreak havoc with. And he was very good with Laporta on with the Detroit Lions. Obviously, like I said, I didn't know he was the tight ends coach either. But
before
he knows. But the moral of the story is he knows what he's doing with tight ends here. It was a little weird though. I'm gonna admit it was a little weird. I think they need to fix their offensive line a little bit instead of drafting a tight end that high. But maybe there's something we don't know because tight ends, they still block on the line. It's an interesting pick, so I don't hate the pick as much as I did. I think I was just more like, oh, I can't believe they selected a tight end. It was like in the heat of the moment type of thing. But I'm kind of backing this pick a little bit, and I trust them there. The other thing that happened yesterday, the Browns trading down to 5 to the Jaguars could have been the dumbest thing they've done. This Jaguars team selected Travis Hunter. VP, the Jaguars aren't a bad team. They were injured. They had a bad year. I strongly don't believe they're a bad team. I think this is a pick that could propel them into the postseason next year. I really do. Like, I think they're a playoff team 100%. And yeah, you got a rookie guy, but Trevor Lawrence, like, I still trust Trevor Lawrence. I don't think he's a bust. I think this is going to do wonders for them. I think Travis Hunter, in my opinion, was one of the best players, if not the best player in the draft. Will he be able to play both offensive defense in the NFL at that high a level? I'm sure he'll try. That remains to be seen. I mean, people are comparing him to Ohtani. Is he Ohtani? Well, I don't think he's Ohtani level. He just plays 2 positions like Ohtani.
Lazy comparison.
I mean, these guys on the freaking draft last night, was it Adam Schefter? Somebody said, like,
every time they compared him to Ohtani, that feels lazy.
Yeah, it is, just because he plays 2 positions. He's not on Ohtani level, but we'll see. I think it's the big pick for the Jaguars. I don't know why the Browns would do that, because I think they could use a Travis Hunter, because who did they select? The defensive tackle? They thought a defensive tackle was better than, improving your offensive line or somebody on your offense. I mean, their defense wasn't horrible. So the fact that they thought they needed to trade down just to fix up their defense. To me, it didn't make sense. Horrible pick by the Browns, and that's why the Browns.
I wish I agreed with you because I like the Jaguars. Oh, Mason Graham is so good. He is now the Browns' best player. Other than freaking, what's his name? Myles Garrett. Oh, I love it for the Browns, Frank. I'm not in on Travis Hunter. He's fine. He's good. He's a good player. I would have taken Mason Graham second overall.
But
and Abdul Carter I would have taken first.
They have nobody. Their offense is horrible.
But it's going to stay horrible. So there was nobody there that's going to help them in the long term without fixing their offensive line. And Will Campbell wasn't going to be there for them. And it was probably too high to take him too. It's just their quarterback situation's messed up. If they fix their defense, they'll at least be in games and they'll be able to build their offense around that. If the draft was strictly my opinion based on the player, not position or anything, just pure talent at their position, yeah, I would have taken Abdul Carter number 1. He goes to the Giants at 3. And I would have taken Mason Graham number 2. Yeah, I'm very high on Mason Graham. It's funny. I watched the movie Draft Day right before the draft started yesterday, and the movie ends. Are you ever going to watch it?
You could tell me.
It's very good. You will like it.
I'm sure I will, but
it's realistic. Roger Goodell's in it. The guy who Adam Schefter's in it. Chris Berman's in it. It's awesome. Kevin Costner plays the GM of the Browns, and he makes a trade with the Jaguars right before the movie ends. And then I watch that, and then it happens in real life. The Jaguars and the Browns.
Vinny thought he was in the movie.
Well, the movie came out 10 years ago too. A 2014 NFL draft it was, and so it was a complete coincidence. But wow, that was awesome. Yeah, the Jaguars they're a dumb franchise. I hated it. I really did. We're on opposite ends of the spectrum. But the Browns are a dumb franchise too. They just got the better player I loved Mason. I wanted Mason Graham to fall to the Bears at 10. If I could have picked any player to fall to the Bears at 10, that would have been my guy. My other surprise, Shedeur Sanders not getting drafted in the first round.
That surprised me.
It should.
His stock has dropped so much.
It has. When the Steelers passed on him at 21, I was like, this guy's not going in the first round at all. And then the Giants took Dart. To me, that's also dumb. To me, none of the 3 quarterbacks were worthy of being first round picks, let alone the number 1 pick, Titans. Even though I do think the Titans are going to figure it out and be better than people think. Frank, we're going to have a Saints or next year's version of our standings predictions is going to be like with the Saints last year or with the Browns a couple years prior, where one of us will be right and one of us will be wrong. We're going to do it on the Jaguars next year. Okay. It wouldn't shock me if they're the worst damn team in the league.
No, I'm all in on them. I mean, I don't think they're going to win a Super Bowl, but I think they'll make the postseason.
They're just not. They're not better than Houston, so they're automatically out on winning the division. I think Tennessee is going to be better. No. And who am I? Oh, the Colts. Yeah, the Colts. Yeah. The Colts will be better.
This Jaguars team, I feel like this was what they were missing. This is huge. For them.
That coach Duval. No, that guy is not it. As soon as he went Duval,
I could smell at least 10 wins.
And then freaking Travis Hunter gets on stage and does it himself. So cringe. Yeah, no shot. I'm so out on the Jags in terms of how good they are.
It'll be fun when we discuss it for next season.
Yeah, but maybe you'll do some research in between now and then and see how stinky the Jaguars actually are.
No, they had a bad year. They're no.
I hope the Browns take Shedeur with the first pick tonight, pick number 33. That's what I'm looking for.
I think he's overrated. I don't.
He is overrated. They're all overrated.
No
quarterback.
About 1-1. You're not going 1-1, bud.
Just like I said it in 22 too. None of these quarterbacks should be good. But can he pick it? Can he pick it? Oh my God, can he pick it? No. If they're not those top dogs that are sick, the Caleb Williamses, the Andrew Lucks, the Trevor Lawrences, no. And they're not all going to work out. I thought Justin Fields was going to be good, but and nobody thought Josh Allen would be good, except for me. DraftJoshAllen.com. He has big hands.
What?
No.
what's his name? I can't think of his name. Alabama's quarterback, Jalen.
He was
He was not drafted. What's
only
his name? Jalen
Milrow.
Milrow.
Yeah.
Milrow.
No, only Dart and Ward. Wouldn't want either of them as my quarterback either. That was so crazy. All right, Frank. I think it's time you make the people some money with America's favorite podcast segment of the week, Breaking Bets.
Where's my money, bitch?
Frank, the floor is yours.
Foster says Milrow goes tonight. We'll see.
Yeah, I didn't put him in my mock draft for rounds 2 and 3 that went up this morning. We'll see.
So yeah, last week I gave another futures pick. I don't give a lot of futures picks on the show, but it was for the LA Kings to win the series. If that wins, I'm 2 for 2 on futures picks on the show. So maybe I should just start giving futures out. 2 hockey picks and a basketball pick. I'm going to lump the 2 hockey picks semi together because both of these teams are down 2-0 in the series. First, we're going to take the Montreal Canadiens money line at plus 100. They've been feisty. I think they have a chance to steal one of the games here before the Caps run away with the series. I like the price of the Canadiens being even money at home down 2-0. It's hard to go up 3-0. I think what I've seen so far from the Canadiens is they have what it takes to win one game, and I like them at home at plus. We're going to go with the Montreal Canadiens money line at plus 100 for a unit. And then we have same with Tampa Bay down 2-0 to the Florida Panthers. We're going to go Tampa Bay Lightning money line at plus 120. Little bit of a better value here, down 2-0 in the series. We're going to put 2 units on this. I could be wrong, but I think this Lightning team's just too good to get swept. And I think that the price that they have at plus 120 is a must take in this one because of how good the Lightning are on paper. It just feels like an auto pick in this case. And I just feel like the Lightning were the better team coming into the series, and I'd be stunned to see them go down 3-0. So similar to the Canadiens pick, I have a bit more confidence in the Lightning getting a win than I do the Canadiens, which is why we'll do 2 units on it. But I think the Lightning are going to pull this series a little bit closer, but we'll see there. And then finally, got an NBA pick, Rockets and Warriors. I believe this game's not till tomorrow night. It's been a fun series so far. Series tied at 1 apiece. The Rockets came into this series as the 2 seed after having such a dominant regular season. The Warriors took game 1 of the series, and they showed that Steph Curry could take over any game, every series, or any series. And I believe the Warriors are good enough to beat the Rockets, this Rockets team in a 7-game series. I like what I've seen so far from the Warriors. I think they can get it done on home court. And how loud their fan base is. They have one of the loudest fan bases in the NBA, very loyal, obviously, with Steph over the years. This is another team, kind of like the Tampa Bay Lightning, that you just don't doubt in the postseason, no matter what seed they are, how many games they're down, who they play. The only thing that worries me potentially is this team is very top-heavy that relies on Steph Curry to do most of the scoring. And if he gets shut down, the rest of the team could be a little shaky, and that's what happened in game 2 when the Rockets just dominated the Warriors. It was Curry's inability to score. He wasn't nailing as many threes as he did, and if that happens, the Rockets team overall, their players might be better, but I think the Warriors get it done in game 3. Warriors money line minus 135, bet to win 5 units. Those are my picks for you this week.
Good work, Frank. To Foster, send me a link on the movie, and you tell my friend Mr. Shorty to hit me with an email. Me and Frank will come talk Bears on the BCP together at any time. Hit me up.
Yep.
Frank, you want a stat?
Give me a stat. I like a good stat.
I got 2 for you. A lot of people were mad they didn't take Tyler Warren 10th overall. That's nonsense. I think Loveland is a way better tight end than Loveland. Or Loveland is a way better tight end than Warren. Warren was more of a gadget guy, and he put up big numbers because of it at Penn State, and he was the only guy that they threw to, and it inflated his numbers. And this is my opinion, but what my eyeballs told me. And Loveland is actually a good route running tight end. Can't block for shit. It was in my scouting report. Go read it. One of the stat I was going to say is Loveland had more yards in his sophomore season which was the national championship with J.J. McCarthy season, than Warren did in any of his college football years combined.
I mean, yeah, Ben Johnson, they see something in this kid, so I'm
Yeah,
gonna trust it.
and Michigan had Barroom Network show hosts, or Bears Country podcast show hosts throwing the football last year, so his numbers came down a little bit, which is expected with Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson as the OC. You would think he shows his stuff. I got one more stat for you.
Okay.
By not drafting a quarterback yesterday, the Saints became the only team in the NFL to not draft a first-round quarterback in the last 50 years.
Wow.
The last quarterback that they took in the first round, Archie Manning.
Wow.
And people think back, well, what about Drew Brees? No, Drew Brees was traded to the Saints by the Chargers. Played a couple years with the Chargers.
Wow.
They've never drafted a first-round pick quarterback in the last 50 years.
That's a crazy stat. That's a good stat.
They're the only team in the NFL that can say they have. The Bears have drafted 3 in the last 10.
Yeah.
Nikes. Frank, really, really good show. Really, really fun. Good stuff on the NFL draft in the third period. Went over NHL news in the first period, along with some playoff series breakdowns in period number 2. I hope everybody enjoyed. Stay tuned to the King Bean and at Vinny Parisi. Maybe there's some show news coming up in the next couple days that we would like to discuss with you all. Frank, episode 200 coming up.
Coming up, we got to do something big.
We absolutely do. I'm looking forward to it. And to everybody who watched, we thank you very much. Make sure you follow at the King Bean on Twitter. Make sure you follow at Vinny Parisi on Twitter. We love you too, Foster. And as always, don't get too mad at the Chicago Bears with pick 39 and 41 tonight, and stay watching hockey. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.